I'm here at the Israeli Embassy in Berlin with Ambassador Ron Prosor. Thanks so much for speaking to DW. Ambassador, we're speaking on Israel's Day of Remembrance for Fallen Soldiers and also the eve of Israel's National Day, which commemorates the Declaration of Independence in 1948. What do these dates mean for Israelis in 2026?
It's a very special day today. And just think, you entered the Israeli embassy here in Berlin and you saw the amount of security around us. And it basically, really emphasizes the fact of how Israeli embassies and how Israeli diplomats have to work abroad. And today, in Remembrance Day, this is a special day in Israel. As we speak, families are in graveyards, and unfortunately, you know that Israel, since the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, is in constant war, but this is an emotional day. It's a very emotional day because we remember those who allow us all to basically enjoy freedom and democracy. We do not forget. And the interesting thing is the transition from Remembrance Day to Independence Day. At the end of the day, a lot of discussions in Israel about that. The end of the day is, yes, we will celebrate because this is our responsibility for those who have given their lives for us to be able to do that. So a very emotional day in Israel today.
Sadly, we are speaking at a time of war in the Middle East. The military operation against Iran has brought massive damage and loss of life, but it hasn't brought an end to the Iranian regime or to their nuclear program. Prime Minister Netanyahu says it's not over yet. As we speak, there's a very uncertain peace process between the Iranians and the United States. What has this war done to improve life for Israelis, do you think?
I think, first of all, it's not just Israel. If you think of the mullahs and the ayatollahs in Iran, they're a threat to the region itself. We saw that with the Gulf states today. And also for Europe. Now, how do I make the connection? Because for years, Europe or the world has been negotiating with the Iranians. And not only did it not stop the Iran nuclear program, but the ballistic missiles that produced in Iran, we could see them move over to Moscow, to Russia, and from Moscow to Kiev, and basically in Europe's backyard. Terror all around the world. And the mullahs and the ayatollahs, and I want the people that watch us, basically stating, as part of their policy to annihilate the State of Israel, to eradicate the State of Israel. And we have learned, I think, we should all learn, that when you have a combination of intentions by the mullahs and the ayatollahs and capabilities, this is deadly, and the ideology is deadly. We saw that ideology with Hamas, we saw that ideology with Hezbollah and Iran. And I think what the United States and Israel is doing today is making sure that Europe and the world is a better and a safer place. And you see that they're holding, now it's clear to the world, they're basically holding the world economy, the German economy, as hostage. With oil prices, with gas prices. At the end of the day, the mullahs and the ayatollahs, the way they treat their own population, women, children, this regime has to basically go home for the Iranian people to take their future in their own hands.
But would you say that the wars in Gaza, in Iran, in Lebanon, have made Israelis safer?
So let's talk not just on Israelis. The genocide that Hamas did on the 7th of October against Israelis, if we zoom out for a second, it's 2.5 years. How does the region look? For the first time in Lebanon, a government without Hezbollah. Bashar Assad in Syria is drinking vodka in Moscow. The mullahs and the ayatollahs in Iran are weakened. Nasrallah and Hezbollah are weakened. And Hamas is weakened. We have an opportunity to really change the region now, and I think we have learned that we cannot just trivialize this ideology. We have to stand up together against this ideology, because this ideology is already entered parts of Europe. You see it with sleeping cells, both in Germany and in Europe, and Iran and terror all around the region. This Mullah and Ayatollah regime is really a burden for everyone who wants peace in the region.
Let me ask you about German-Israeli relations. Top-level cabinet talks between the two governments haven't happened since 2018. There are clear differences over the idea of a two-state solution, as there were over Gaza. Is disagreement growing between Germany and Israel?
There are many disagreements between Israel and Germany. So we can focus on that, but we can also focus on the half-full part of the glass. And in Europe itself, when you look at this, just after the 7th of October, unprecedented amount of visits by German politicians and Germans, the president, the foreign minister, the chancellor, the chairman of the foreign committee, the president of the Bundestag, uncomparable with other European countries, but especially I want to emphasize something on the two-state solution, okay? I see a lot of politicians basically repeating like a parrot, two-state solution, Zwei-Staaten-Lösung. Two states for two people, very simple. Two states for two people, meaning the right of Israel to exist as a Jewish state. This is something that one should basically talk about. Try and get a Palestinian and an Arab to say this simple sentence, two states for two people. What we have learned, and I headed Israel's foreign service from 2003 to 2007, when we decided to unilaterally withdraw out of Gaza. I believed in it. I think many Israelis believed in it. After the 7th of October, after this genocide that was done, and we see, everything that is going on, both now in Gaza and also in the West Bank, we have to ask the Palestinians what they want in the future. Do they really want peace? There's a lot of questions about that. We will do everything. On the one hand, reach out to everyone who really wants peace with us. On the other hand, hold the shield of David very, very close to our chest, because only a strong Israel, a very strong Israel, can achieve peace in this region.
Well, you talk about reaching out for peace, but the German government has repeatedly expressed concerns about actions by Israel in the occupied West Bank, what Israel calls Judea and Samaria. Recently, this prompted a strong reaction from Israel's finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich. Chancellor Merz wrote on his official X account, there must be no de facto annexation of the West Bank. And Smotrich posted in response, Mr. Chancellor, the days when Germans dictated to Jews where they were permitted or forbidden to live are over. What's your assessment of that exchange?
I think you saw my reaction to that, which I will not repeat. But I want to say, first of all,
Well, you said on Israeli TV that these remarks undermine the remembrance of the Holocaust.
I said that, and I also said that Friedrich Merz is a true friend of the State of Israel. But what is important here is the day that it was said, okay? And that's why I think the minister came out, because it was said on Holocaust Memorial Day. And this is, I don't think there's a translation in English, this is Fingerspitzengefühl. You can say the same thing a day after. We don't have to agree. Sensitivity.
Yes.
So in the sense, what I think many Israelis feel, especially on a day like this, there's a lack of empathy towards Israel, a lack of empathy to Israelis sitting in the Seder night in shelters in Israel. Not a word of basically trying to hug us. and say, we are aware that the state of Israel and the Jewish people are being subjected to missiles every day from Iran from the east and from Hezbollah in the north, every day. And to remind you, with Hezbollah started shooting at Israel, although we asked them not to do that. The Lebanese government asked them not to do that. And still we see statements like, we call both sides to show restraint, or de-escalation. Wonderful words, and I'm a diplomat, but they basically are empty words in trying to solve this. And I want, with one word, to talk about Hezbollah, because there's a lot of discussions about, please.
But Ambassador, these comments by Bezalel Smotrich, they were about the attitude to the settler policy, and the actions by Israel in the occupied West Bank. I mean, do you think that that's a deliberate provocation? Do you think that Germany needs to sort of speak up more for Israel? Because you say Friedrich Merz is a friend of Israel. Where do you think the correct sort of rhetorical tone should lie?
Okay, so I very clearly went out and made my point very clear on this, okay? But I also want to emphasize, okay, that there can be differences, but especially, okay, on Holocaust Memorial Day, that there should be more sensitivities, you know, when one begins to criticize Israel. Israel is used to criticism. We have criticism within. I'm very proud of Israel's democratic system. But again, where do I want Germany stronger? I want Germany, like other parts of Europe, standing with Israel in international forums like the UN, the European Union, where there's a constant demonization and delegitimization against the state of Israel and the Jewish people. And when I say that, today, it's very clear. When I say constant demonization and delegitimization, you see that on the streets of Germany today, with anti-Semitism on the rise, right-wing anti-Semitism, Muslim anti-Semitism, and left anti-Semitism. I think that the most dangerous is left anti-Semitism. I'll try and explain. Right anti-Semitism, they say, and I quote them, we're against Jews, blacks, homosexuals. You have any other questions you want to ask me? I'll tell you, I'm proud of this. The German system, politically and judicially, knows how to deal with right-wing anti-Semitism. Muslim anti-Semitism, clearly there, okay? But when they demonstrate on the streets of Germany and say that they want to build a new caliphate here and Sharia laws, the Germans are looking at this astounded, amazed. By the way, you should take it seriously. Left anti-Semitism, Jews and Israelis are completely alone, because there's always the legitimate question, where does the line pass between freedom of speech and freedom for incitement? And on the cultural, academic side, they've crossed the red line, and it's basically Jews are afraid to go in the U-Bahn and the S-Bahn, the underground here, at universities, carrying, Jewish, kippah, and the year's 2026, you have Jews that are afraid, German citizens of Jewish faith, are afraid to say that they're Jews in Germany. That has to change.
Yeah, there's no doubt that anti-Semitism is a huge problem. It's an increasing problem. We've seen record numbers of anti-Semitic attacks in Germany, in Europe, around the world, in fact. And they've spiked since the October the 7th attacks, but also, I think, again, since the war in Iran has been going on. Now, a recent report from Tel Aviv University said that Israeli politicians and media have, particularly in recent months, expanded the scope of what qualifies as anti-Semitism And by doing so, they discredit a crucial fight by politicizing it. Do you see that problem?
No, I see the exact opposite problem. First of all, there's a definition for anti-Semitism. It's called the IRA definition, which was accepted, has to be implemented. I saw that, this Israeli student, Lahav Shapira, was basically, went to court because someone bashed him physically in such a manner that he had to be hospitalized for, I think, 3 weeks, okay? And the judge said that he was basically hit and injured, but he didn't see that as anti-Semitism. So how should I understand it? Someone who really beats a Jew because he's a Jew and doesn't shout Mein Kampf is basically not an anti-Semite. We need to define those things. And I'll give you another example. With Lahav Shani, the conductor of the Munich Philharmonic Orchestra, okay? Belgium wanted to boycott the symphonic orchestra because he's a Jew. This is clear. When you have slogans now in Germany saying, don't buy from Israel, this is the continuation of don't buy from Jews. In the second one, clear things. So I would say that they're using the so-called legitimate criticism, of Israel to basically cross the line to something which is clear anti-Semitic.
Finally, let me bring it back to Israel itself. In January this year, Israel's former Attorney General and the President of your Supreme Court, Aaron Barak, declared that Israel is no longer a liberal democracy, and he said human rights, separation of powers, the rule of law, and the independence of the judiciary are all being weakened in Israel. Is the Israeli state in good health, in your view?
Well, first of all, Aaron Barak is he was the former Supreme Court, head of our Supreme Court, but it just shows you what, our fierce democratic structures. So I don't think you have any other state in the world where people, fight with each other, shout, and basically, put questions to everything. I'm very proud. We are now, celebrating 78 years for the State of Israel. I think we are very innovative because we ask questions all the time. And it's legitimate to challenge the system, and it's legitimate to basically ask all the questions that at the end of the day make us a better society. I am absolutely convinced that we have a strong and vibrant democracy. And yes, we'll keep on arguing, but looking at a better future for us all. And when I see the young generation in Israel, especially on a day like this, wow, they're resilient, they're stronger than my generation. And when the war started, usually people flee out of the country, they all returned back. Not because of politicians, but because of their friends, and they understood this is the only nation state that the Jews have, and we have to fight every day in order to protect it.
Is it still a liberal democracy?
Absolutely.
Ambassador, thank you so much for speaking to DW.
Thank you.